DJ PK, and we're joined by Riley Jensen, college football expert, and he works in sports performance, mental health, the mental approach to sports. The psychology of it all is so fascinating. Riley, good morning.
What's happening, fellas?
Riley, I need you to assess a bunch of people you've never met. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cincinnati had a good thing going. Had a 7-game win streak after that opening loss to Nebraska, but they got drilled by Utah. And then they lost at home to Arizona. So do you think they put 2 feet in the ground and their hands on their hips and make a stand against BYU and maybe wreck the Cougars down the stretch here? Or they are a beaten, shattered group and the Cougars are about to go in and run all over them? What do you think? Assess the psychology that Cincinnati is going to bring into this game.
So I think there's some interesting psychology to this, and I remember a long time ago, one of my coaches told me that winning hides a lot of warts, and it's hard to point out that somebody has warts when they're winning all the time. And I think what happened with Cincinnati is for whatever reason they were winning. I think they have a pretty good quarterback. I think they have a really good tight end. I like their run back. They do some really good things. But they're just not quite at the level of competing and winning for a Big 12 championship yet. And so what happens is you win all these games, you get exposed by the University of Utah. Then you realize you have all these warts to work on, and mentally that becomes sometimes a little bit overwhelming. And so I guess the long answer to your question is I don't think Cincinnati's quite as good as we thought they were. I think they're a good team. I think they're a team that you have to be smart and you can't turn over the football and there's things that you can't do. But I think BYU is going to be fine this weekend. They have the blueprint from the University of Utah. A lot of the defensive schemes that Jay Hill are similar to what Morgan Scalley runs, and I think they're going to be able to replicate that this Saturday.
From the BYU perspective, they're in the exact same spot as they were last year. Last year, they were 9-1, going down to Tempe in the next to the last week of the season, and we know that they lost to a pretty good team. This year, now they're going to Cincinnati. It looks maybe not, I can't identify it specifically as to why, but it looks to me like they are a better team than last year, which then would lead you to believe they have a better chance to come back with the win. How do you assess it?
Well, I think the hard part about going 9-1 at this, point of the year is that everybody's talking about can you make it to the conference championship game instead of talking about, the Cincinnati game. And there's just a different kind of talk and a different kind of excitement for the team when they're walking through campus, when they're talking to their parents, when they're talking to old friends in the community. Everybody's talking about, can you make it back, and can you beat Texas Tech again? Well, they're not playing Texas Tech this weekend, and they're getting a lot of questions about that. And I feel like that's the distraction. And I know so many coaches on the BYU staff, and I know that they're talking about that, and I know that they're trying to focus these guys on just this week. But that's the danger, right? That's the rat poison that you got to stay away from right now, is that you really do have to play week to week and game to game and situation to situation. So I think part of like growing and why you hear people say cliches that you probably hate, PK, like, you can't skip steps on the way to a championship. You can't skip steps on the way to building a championship program, is that you hope that players that were on the team last year are talking to younger guys and warning them about, hey, we were in this exact same situation last year, and it was really disappointing to finish the season with a loss to Arizona State. And we've got to stay focused, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do that. And that's why veteran teams win more than teams that aren't veteran win, is because they learn the lessons from, and it's interesting because college football is such a short time, but you learn the lessons from just a few years before, and then hopefully you make the next step. And I think that's what Kalani's hoping to do. I think that's what the staff with Aaron Roderick and Jay Hill are trying to do. And I think that's important this week. I think it's really, really important not to get distracted by all the tugs and the pulls that get you pulled away from, like, the task at hand.
I expected you were 0% surprised that when Kalani was asked about style points, that he went straight to, I'm trying to win this game this weekend. That's it. We got to win this game this weekend. That's it. And he wanted no part of that. Do you think that is any consideration at all when it's the coaches just among themselves? I mean, if he throws that out there in public, it's bulletin board material. It's motivating for the other team. It tells his guys they're going to win this game easily. I mean, there's a million reasons he wouldn't go there. He's been saying, stay humble all year long. There's a million reasons not to go there publicly. But privately, do you think they think about style points at all, or are they really just thinking, if we get to 12-1 and win these next 3 games, we're the Big 12 champs and we're in the tournament and nothing else matters?
I think the answer is yes to both, and here's what I'll say: it's really hard as a coach when you're caught up in the weeds and you're in the study of each team every week. And this is like a huge chess tournament every week that you have to prepare for, both mentally as a coach, and then trying to take that game plan and implement it to your players. And for me, when I was coaching on the college level, when I was coaching on the high school level, even at Little League level, it's hard for me to look at another team and not just have a ton of respect for them and have this real unease that if we don't do this and if we don't do that and if we don't do this well, like, this team can beat us. So there is some real truth to what he's saying about, like, this game is all that matters. If they get to the game and they start to play well, I think that he's very aware that style points matter. And I think he will shift from, mid-second quarter, they're up 2 touchdowns, and he's feeling the momentum of the game. He's going to shift from the mindset of, like, hey, we just need to win this game to we need to bury these guys. I don't think this is Kalani's vocabulary, but he would say we need to step on their neck type of thing, where we really need to finish and we really need to send a message to everybody in the Big 12 and everybody in the country that we are a playoff team. So I think both things can be true, and I think he's telling the truth right now in the sense that he has a lot of respect for every team that he plays. He wants his players to have that kind of respect. And then if you have, the situation like the University of Utah lately where they're winning every game by 20 points or more, you go ahead and you put some style points on it.
You have concern that Cincinnati had all these high hopes, right, of competing. They got a senior quarterback and all that stuff. And for the most 2/3 of the conference season, they did compete. And then they come out to Utah and get smoked, and then they go home and lose to Arizona. So theoretically, they're still in it, but it looks like it's hanging by a thread. Do you see in that situation where they could just fold?
Unfortunately, in today's world, yes. I talked to maybe, I want to say this like 5 or 6 years ago, I was talking to a player that played for a major program in the country. And he was like, it's really hard to keep everybody motivated once you're out of the national championship hope or hype, because our fan base and our players and our coaches and everybody that's involved with our program is like national championship or bust. And, while Cincinnati might not be a team that is considered national championship or bust, I do think that they had high hopes for their team this year, and I think that quarterback's really good. If I were their coach, I'd be talking about putting your name on every single rep this week, putting your signature on every single thing that you do, putting your signature on everything that goes into the film that's going to show up this week, and helping them to play for not just the pride of the school, but like the personal pride of, like, regardless of whether we go to, the Big 12 championship or not, like, you need to play for the pride that's your name on your back, your family's name, your name, and really kind of play that up. But there really is a different feel now for teams that are in the hunt for the playoffs that it's like playoffs or bust. And if you don't make it to the playoffs, it's hard to keep people motivated. It's like, oh, suck. We didn't make it to where we wanted to be, you know?
Totally buy all of that, and I think that's what Ute fans were feeling after the loss to BYU. Well, that's 2 losses. How are we going to get to the conference title game? How can we possibly get to the playoff? Now they're standing here, and it may not break their way, but there is still definitely a path. Whether they get to take it or not remains to be seen. In the meantime, they have been crushing everyone. I think all of us expect them to crush Kansas State this weekend, which seems crazy because we've all seen 5-5 teams beat 8-2 teams, but you don't really have any thought that's going to happen, do you? You expect Utah to win big again?
No, I don't think anybody wants to play Utah right now. I don't think BYU wants to play Utah right now. I think that the University of Utah, if they just have settled into who they are, I feel like they have a real identity defensively and offensively right now. And I mean, my gosh, they are a really good football team right now. I don't see anybody on the schedule, you know, for the rest of the year that's going to give them any problems. Although that's a little bit of a problem for them because, you know, you want to have a good win, you know, towards the end, but they can only play who they can play. And I think there's a real chance for them to get everything that they wanted, even after that BYU game, just because of the way that they're playing. Now, they're not going to get the SEC nod or the Big Ten nod that those teams get with 2 losses. But, man, you look at their body of work right now, and their only losses are to teams ranked in the top 12, top 11, and they're really putting together a resume that could make an argument. Now, just like you guys said a few weeks ago when I was all excited about where they were ranked in the college football playoff rankings, I still think that's a real outside chance. But, goodness, just all you can do if you're the University of Utah is take care of what you can take care of and then hope you put enough pressure on everybody that makes decisions. And that's kind of a fun position to be in.
Have you seen anything as you've watched Kyle Whittingham in terms of body language, demeanor, or whatever it might be, to think that this might be it? He turned 66 this week.
I think there's people that know him better than I do that would be able to tell you that kind of stuff. I feel like he's had the same body language for like 35 years.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to read him at all about like what he's thinking or where he's going. I know that in his mind there has always been that thought. He was so close to his dad, and he was so close to, you know, he's so close to his family. And I can't remember how old his dad was when his dad passed away.
64.
Yeah, so Kyle's 2 years older than his dad was.
He's very aware of that.
And that's what I was going to say. I know he's very aware of that. But I think teams like this, like, get you excited about the possibilities of the future. And it's hard to just say, I'm just going to, you know,
right.
I'm going to ride into the sunset. Because it's like, man, it's so close. I'm so close to being a playoff team and a team that because I know, the one thing that I do know about Kyle is he feels like if he got in a playoff and he had time to prepare for some of these teams, I think he feels like he could beat anybody in the country. And so that's hard. And when you're a person that has you have to think about Kyle Whittingham. He's 66 years old. He has probably been involved with football since the age of 8 years old. I mean, it's who he is. It's what he does. It would be hard to walk away. And there's not very many people in sport. I've actually written an article about this called Sports Will Break Your Heart.
Yeah.
There are not very many people that get to walk away from sport on their own terms. There just aren't. If you really think about it, even the best of the best, the pros. I mean, Brett Favre retired how many times, right? And he could have retired on his own, you know, on his own will and merit. And I think it's a hard place to be for Kyle. I don't envy his position. I'm sure that there's some pressure from his family and even some of the coaches like, hey, man, it's time to hang it up. you know. But there's part of him that's like, yeah, but man, I'm so close. I've spent my whole life, you know, doing this. Why would I leave something that I'm so comfortable doing and I'm so motivated to do?
Yeah, he's been kicking A and taking names since age 4.
I mean, it's probably true.
It is.
He probably resents that because he's thinking, you think I was a soft 3-year-old? What do you mean, Kinahan?
Well, he's told me stories at age 4.
Okay. You just haven't heard the stories at age 3.
I have not.
There was probably a neighbor kid, and someone tried to take a popsicle away on a summer day, and he laid down the law.
See, we got into an argument about age 4. He was 4 years old when the Beatles made their
this story. I didn't know this story was
first
tied
appearance
to the 4-year-old.
at the Ed Sullivan show.
Uh-huh.
And so I was talking to him about it. I said, "Oh man, how about that?" Yeah, I remember it. I said, "You do not." No, I remember it specifically. I remember it literally where I was, what I was doing. I said, "You do not."
4 years old is a pretty early memory. There's only like a few memories,
right?
From 4 years old.
I know, but he actually like he could paint the picture as if he was in the front row at the Ed Sullivan Theater, which wasn't called the Ed Sullivan Theater at the time, but it is now. No, he actually believes he's got vivid memories of when they took the stage.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with him. You argued with him? Why did you argue with him?
Because it's fun. It's what we do.
It's what you do.
He likes a few of them.
Riley, we appreciate it as always. You're the man. We'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy the games.
Love you guys. We'll talk soon.
Next, Justin Williams, senior college football writer for The Athletic. What does he think of the Cincinnati Bearcats and their ability to beat BYU? We'll talk with him next.